The Department of Transport examiners aren't looking for good drivers. They're looking for safe drivers. As it says in the driving test booklet, the purpose of the test is to see if you are competent to drive. And that means driving without putting the lives of other road users, other motorists, cyclists and pedestrians at risk. At the 300 test centres around the country, they try to standardise the test routes as far as possible in order to make your test fair and predictable. Remember, your examiner doesn't expect you to be perfect, but he does have to fail you if he finds that you have a driving fault that is dangerous or potentially dangerous. So why do people fail the driving test? Looking at the latest figures from the Department of Transport, there are constantly recurring faults. 1 in 4 test candidates fail for making improper use of their controls, that is gears, accelerator, clutch and steering wheel. Next, people fail on their test manoeuvres, especially on the reverse into a limited opening. 10% of all candidates get this manoeuvre wrong. Nearly 8% of candidates fail to make proper use of their mirrors. And 7% fail to make proper observations before emerging at crossroads and junctions. In this program, we'll assume that you're about to take your test. Maybe you've booked one already, and you want to avoid those faults which could fail you. We'll follow Sue through one of her failed attempts at the driving test, taking a close look at her driving faults, which are all common ones, and see why the examiners regard them as dangerous. And we'll be relying on British School of Motoring Staff instructor Richard Hayes to put them right and show you how to pass your driving test. At the start of the test, on leaving the test centre, the examiner will check your eyesight by asking you to read a car number plate 75 feet away or thereabouts.
You mean the Volkswagen?
Yes.
GLB 716J.
Thank you.
He'll ask you to get into the driving seat while he checks that the car that you've brought along to the test centre is in a roadworthy condition. Then he'll get in and make ready the form on which he'll be marking your faults, if there are any. Remember, anything that he regards as dangerous driving, he must mark down as a fail. But don't be put off by all the jottings he makes. He'll also be noting down any minor faults that crop up, and these don't necessarily add up to a failure. He'll then tell you to follow his directions along the test route and ask you to move off when you're ready.
Drive off, please.
Even when you move off, there are vital points the examiner will be looking out for. The precautions before starting the engine, checking the mirror, and making all the necessary observations, including checking your blind spot.
When moving off, it's important that you show the examiner that you have a system. This will give them a lot more confidence in your driving. For instance, before we start the engine, make sure the handbrake is applied and the gear levers are neutral. Then we can start the engine. Once you're satisfied that everything with the engine is okay, we can get the car prepared. Clutch down, select first gear, set the gas, and if you're on level ground, of course, you can release the handbrake. Now come the observations. We check the mirror, turn around and look over our shoulder at the blind spot. There's a car coming, so we'll let him pass. He's gone, so I'll check the blind spot again. Seems to be clear. The road ahead in the mirror, and I'll decide to indicate up to the right. I'm sure it's safe, so I'll slowly move off down the road, nice and gently.
You'll find you have to move off from a stationary position at least half a dozen times on the test. The examiner will expect you to get it right at the beginning and every time. After moving off, the examiner will be looking out for your use of the controls. He'll want to see that you can drive the car competently and smoothly, and he'll be quick to note down any improper use, such as banging down on the brake, crossing your hands on the steering wheel, bringing the clutch up too fast, driving too fast in a low gear and unnecessarily revving the engine.
Now you must show the examiner that you can make proper use of all the controls: steering, accelerator, brake, gears, clutch, all that sort of thing. For instance, with the brake, when you use it gently and progressively. Don't slam it down. If you do that, you'll have a horrible rough ride. The steering, we've got a nice bend here. Great big movements, both hands, push and pull all the way around. And then return the steering. Don't let it come back by itself. When you accelerate, nice and gentle acceleration. Again, the brake, nice and progressively. Gentle braking. Round we go again. Of course, you must make sure that you're in the correct gear for all of this. There's no point being in too high gear or too lower gear. And again, we're going to go around this bend nice and gently. And at the end of the road, there's a junction. Now at the crossroads, I'm going to go straight ahead, but I must prove to the examiner that I can do this smoothly and coordinate both my hands and my feet. So when I stop the car, nice and gently without a jolt. I then prepare the car again. Observations have got to be right, left, ahead, absolutely everywhere. Once I'm sure that it's safe, I slowly move off without a jerk, gentle acceleration, and as soon as we can, we get up to authentic road speeds.
The importance of getting your controls in order cannot be overemphasized. Remember, the most frequent fault recorded among test candidates is improper use of the gears, accelerator, brake, and steering wheel. While the examiner expects to find that you know what's going on inside the car, he's just as anxious to see that you're fully aware of what's going on outside. Remember that the test demands that you meet and overtake other vehicles safely, that you exercise proper care in the use of speed, that is, keeping an authentic road speed, a speed appropriate to the conditions you're driving in, and that you show awareness and anticipation of the actions of pedestrians, cyclists and drivers. He'll want, for example, to find that you don't drive too close to cars parked on the left. The highway code specifies a safe distance of about 3 feet. It may look as if you're not doing anything dangerous here, but just suppose a car door opened abruptly.
Now, during the general drive, the examiner will want to see that you're aware of exactly what's going on all around the car, both the left, the right ahead, and most of all the mirror. Now the further down the road you can see, and the earlier you can take action, the easier it's going to make your life. Now for instance, we're driving up a very busy road here. The traffic's not moving very quickly at all. We can possibly put this down to parked vehicles delivering goods, even pedestrians walking across the road. We must leave a gap between us and the car in front in order so we can see round them. Another nice way of looking round the cars is to look in the shop windows and we can see when they're moving off. We can see the reflection. For instance, I can see we're moving off now. The van is moving as well. So we move off nice and smoothly, and there we are, there are the parked vans causing the problems up ahead. Position yourself nice and early, and as you go past them, look out for any pedestrians that are coming round the other side of them. Look underneath the front of the car, see if you can see any feet. Now again, we've got a pedestrian crossing here. The lights are green. But I'm going to wait on this side because the traffic has stopped. Now I'm going to move off slowly. The lights have changed and we can, in fact, stop. So even though we're sat here doing nothing for a moment, keep looking all around the car at all times. Any push bikes or motorbikes who come up the inside. As soon as you think the lights are going to actually change, get the car prepared. Everything's ready. Quick look all around you and slowly move forward. As soon as the lights are going green, we can move forward. As you accelerate away, look well up the road, make sure there are no problems, or if there are, get yourself positioned to go around them. And another set of crossroads here, the lights are actually green, but I'm going to check my mirror first. And of course, look right, left and right before I go through there. The lights don't give me right away, they merely give me priority. Now it's a little bit of a tight gap. I think we should be able to go through it, but keeping the speed low, of course, in case a pedestrian should walk out from behind either of these vehicles, whether they should do or not. Now I've got to wait here, the lights have changed. I'm going to select neutral just for a second. Now with a motorbike coming towards us, I hope he's got a gap to get into, otherwise it's going to be a little bit difficult. He's seen us and he's moved over, it's quite nice. Checking the crossing, left, right and left to make sure that it's safe. Checking the mirror, and off we go. Now we're keeping our eye on the side surroundings. The vehicle's reversing out of a one-way street here. Got another parked car, I'm checking the mirror and positioning myself nice and early. There's pedestrians on this crossing here. There's a pram I can see. If the lights change, they could run for it. We're keeping the speed down, looking left, right, left, and it's clear. Ahead again, the lights are red. Push bike there was swerving slightly. Luckily we had enough room. There's a dog on the pavement there. He's under control now. The one problem we've got here besides the traffic lights is the child on the push bike. He's wobbling all over the road, and what with the dog and the pedestrians, we've got to be very careful. Now as you can see here, the lights are green, but the bus is blocking our way. You mustn't, under any circumstances, get impatient here. You get impatient, the examiner will see the fact that you're impatient, and of course this could work against you. Now we can't move at all here. The cyclist has come off the road. Obviously some people behind us do get impatient. Don't let them harass you in any way whatsoever. Now we're moving away from here. So we've got the green lights, but I'm still going to look right, left and right again. Just make sure nobody's jumping the traffic lights. Once I'm sure it's safe, I check the mirror and accelerate very nice and gently, keeping the car smooth, but of course keeping up with normal traffic conditions. This is another thing that the examiner will be looking out for. Doesn't want any undue hesitancy.
Remember always the 2 A's, awareness and anticipation. That's what makes a safe driver. Nowhere are the 2 A's more important than when approaching road junctions. You'll cover a fair amount of ground on the driving test, and you'll come across a variety of different junctions. At each one, the examiner will expect you to know the correct procedure, obey the traffic signs, and carry out the correct observations and signals. And remember that the examiner will be looking out for bad driving habits, which could endanger other road users.
Now once again, there is a procedure to help us remember the correct procedure at road junctions. If you can remember the initials MS, PS, L. This stands for mirror signal, position speed, and then look. Now if you can remember this procedure on test, it will certainly help you. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to move down the road and find a turning to the left. Now this will be from a major road into a minor road. Now I have a junction in sight. First of all, mirror. Check the mirror, make sure that it's indicate to the left. Position. Make sure I'm on the safety line 3 foot from anything on the left. Speed. Gently brake, and then of course select the gear to suit that speed. Observations. Check the mirror, look right, ahead and left as it's a crossroads, and at the corner, steer left. And then steer to the right, take up that safety line, check the mirror, and accelerate away from the junction.
It looks straightforward enough, and it is, if you stick to the system. So let's go through it again. Take that left-hand turn from a major road to a minor road. You are travelling at the urban speed limit of 30 miles an hour in 3rd gear. So, check the mirror for traffic coming behind you. Signal your intention to turn left. Again, failing to signal properly could make you fail your test. Take up a correct position, ideally 3 feet away from the curb. Now, when you're about 4 car lengths away from the corner, begin to brake gently. A bit further on, change down to 2nd gear. You should be travelling under 20 miles an hour now. Now, just before turning, check your mirror again and the road into which you're turning for any cars or pedestrians who might be in the way. Then a neat 90-degree turn without swinging out into the oncoming lane and at a speed which will enable you to take avoiding action if necessary. Now, let's take another variety of junction. Turn right from a minor road to a major carriageway. Here, the examiner will be taking special note of your reaction to those give way signs, which tell you that you don't have priority. He'll be checking your observations and how you position your car at the junction and in the road ahead.
At the end of this road, I'm going to turn right. I've signalled and I'm positioned just left of centre. I can see by the white lines and the sign that it is a give-way junction going from the minor into the major road. Now on the test, you'll get no extra points from the examiner for stopping each time at a give-way junction. If you can see right, left and right and see that it's clear, you may proceed. And of course we move to the crown of the road and then steer to the right. steer left to the safety line, check the mirror, and then accelerate up into second gear. Checking the mirror further and accelerate into third gear.
The rule is simple. Stop if traffic is crossing your path on the road ahead, and go ahead if the way is clear. But how well can you see the road ahead? You must be aware of your so-called zones of vision. Stop before the give-way markings on the road. Now check. Are there cars parked on the left? Is there a tree on the right? Either obstruction could conceal fast-moving traffic on the road ahead. If in doubt, stop. That's what the give-way signs mean. If, on the other hand, your zone of vision is unobstructed and you can see the way ahead is clear, go ahead without stopping. Remember, you can fail for what the test calls undue hesitation. Sensible observations are a vital part of the junction procedure. Remember, failing to observe properly before emerging at junctions is one of the most frequent faults recorded on the test. Finally, the most complicated and unnerving of junctions, the roundabout. There's a good chance you'll come across one of these on your test route, and the examiner will expect you to follow the roundabout signalling code and the special lane discipline. It'll count against you if you fail to make any signals at all, or if you take up the wrong lane position for your exit and so confuse other drivers.
When approaching roundabouts, the examiner will be looking for correct positioning and correct indications. Now, the roundabout ahead, I'm going to turn right. I check my mirror and position myself, and then I adjust my road speed. Now remember, when approaching a roundabout, we must give way to traffic coming from our right, unless the road markings dictate otherwise. Although we're looking for traffic from our right, always be aware of traffic ahead in case they stop. Now it's clear, I'm entering the roundabout indicating to the right. When I'm level with the exit before the one I want, I indicate to the left, check my mirror, and accelerate away from the roundabout and select my next gear. Checking the mirror, I accelerate away and select third gear.
Roundabouts can be busy, dangerous places. The signalling code and lane discipline are designed to make them safe, so let's learn them properly. If you're told to turn left, signal left, approach in the left-hand lane, and keep to that lane in the roundabout. If you're told to go forward, approach in the left-hand lane, or, if blocked, the right-hand lane. Whichever lane you choose, keep to it. Signal left after passing the first exit. If you're told to take the right-hand turning off the roundabout, signal right, approach in the right-hand lane, keep to that lane on the roundabout, signal left just before turning off. Remember, observation, correct signalling, and lane discipline. That's what the examiner will be looking out for. A significant part of the test is spent on the manoeuvres, the emergency stop, the reverse into a limited opening, and the turn in the road. They're all useful because they crop up in everyday driving. But the test manoeuvres are also designed to demand a combination of driving and observation skills which will prove to the examiner that the candidate is in complete control of his or her car. Perhaps because there is so much to remember, the learner driver often finds the manoeuvres the most difficult part. But once learned, the manoeuvres should be that part of the test which the test candidate can face with the least anxiety. After all, they are the most predictable part of the test, even the so-called emergency stop. The examiner will always give you good warning. He'll tell you to move off and warn you that when he slaps his notepad against the dashboard a minute or two later, he'll expect you to stop the car fast enough to avoid, say, a child running into the road. But not so violently that you lose control.
On the emergency stop, the examiner will be looking to see if you can stop the car quickly but maintain full control of the car. So remember, When you use the brake pedal, use it quickly but progressively. If you should slam the pedal down quickly or hard, you'll lock the wheels and the car will skid. So remember, use the brake pedal quickly but progressively. Now keep both hands on the wheel throughout the manoeuvre. And just before the car stops, push the clutch down. And don't forget, as soon as the car has actually stopped, apply the handbrake and put the gear lever to neutral to secure the car. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to stop the car now. Now don't forget, before you move off after the emergency stop, you'll be some distance from the curb, so look over both shoulders. There would be room for a bike or a motorbike to come up the inside.
The emergency stop is the first manoeuvre that the examiner will ask you to do on the test. Next, you'll be asked to reverse into a limited opening. The examiner will tell you to stop just beyond a turning into a side road and then reverse into it. He'll be looking out for two things. First, that you carry out the manoeuvre with due regard to other road users, remembering that the front of the car will swing out towards the middle of the road as you turn. Second, that you can reverse back under control. That is, coordinate the use of the controls so that you can move the car smoothly and accurately.
Now when reversing, the examiner will ask you to pull over prior to the junction as we are now. They'll then ask you to move forward and position on the other side of the junction, about 4 car lengths from the junction and about 2 foot from the curb. We'll go and do that now. So I'll prepare the car in the normal way, normal observations, and then I'll move forward. Now as we move forward, have a look down the side turning, see if it's safe to do the manoeuvre to begin with, and have a quick glance down at the junction, see what the corner's like itself. And then position yourself, as I say, 4 car lengths from the junction and about 2 foot from the curb. And of course secure the car. Now we can remove our seatbelt for this manoeuvre, it's easy to turn round. Now reversing can be tricky, but there is a system. If you can stick to the system, you will find it fail-proof. Now, we use a system involving what we call point A and point B. Point A is the last straight edge before the corner on the curbstones, and point B is the first straight edge round the corner on the curbstones. What we do to begin with is reverse back in a straight line until point A disappears beneath the rear of the car, and then we stop. I'll take you through it. First of all, we select reverse gear, release the handbrake, we turn right round in our seat so we can see exactly where we're going, get the car prepared, setting the gas. The next thing is to have a good look all round the car. Nobody around. Now I'm going to reverse back slowly until point A disappears beneath the rear of the car. When point A disappears, I'm just going to stop. Have the occasional glance forward while you're reversing. As soon as the car has stopped, prepare it again. Reset the gas, observations again all around the car. It's nice and safe. Now this time I'm going to watch point B. I can still see it out the back window. I'm going to reverse back until point B disappears behind the pillar. Now when point B disappears, I'm going to have a quick look forward, just in case a cyclist should come along, or a car. When point B reappears, I steer quickly to the left. Now this should take us around a nice distance all the way from the curb. Halfway around the corner, just have a quick glance to the right so you can see what's going on, and when the car is nearly straight, gently brake to stop. As soon as the car has stopped, reset the gas of course, and have a good look all round the car. Once you're sure it's safe, reverse back slowly, correcting the steering to the right. Now the examiner has asked you to reverse for a reasonable distance. So as you go back, keep the car under clutch control, have the occasional glance forward so you can see exactly what's going on. And once you're back a reasonable distance, look where you're going until the car has stopped. Then it's clutch down, gently brake to stop. As soon as the car has stopped, apply the handbrake, gear lever to neutral, secure the car. Now there is a little hint. If you find when you're reversing that you appear to be going in towards a curb or going wide, don't ask the examiner if you can do it again. Simply stop, reposition the vehicle, and then carry on with the manoeuvre. Now this could avoid a fail. And don't forget, before you move off, fit the seatbelt again. Once that's done, wait for your next instruction.
Now let's just hold it there, because remember that 1 in 10 candidates fail on this manoeuvre. So let's go through it again. You're told to look out for points A and B. Point A is the last straight curbstone on the road you start off on. Point B is the first straight curbstone in the road you're reversing into. The secret is to reverse slowly. First, back until point A disappears from view underneath the back of the car. That's where you stop and make your observations on the road ahead and the one you're reversing into. Then reverse back until point B disappears behind the rear near side pillar. Stop for another check in front, remembering that the car will swing out as it turns. Now, reverse until point B reappears in the rear side window. Now you can turn the car. Even when reversing, the front wheels steer the car. Quite simply, by turning the steering wheel briskly to the left, the front wheels will maneuver the car to the left in reverse. So, the two important things to remember. Move the car slowly, so that you have complete control of the steering wheel, and always remember which way your front wheels are pointing. Ease off the left steering as soon as the front of the car is round the corner. Look at your front wheels now. They're directing the car straight onto the curb, so correct the steering with just enough right lock to bring the car parallel to the curb. Don't forget, the examiner will expect you to continue reversing for some distance after you have straightened up in order to complete the manoeuvre. Finally, the manoeuvre, which most of us call the three-point turn. But to be strictly accurate, the test calls it turning round by means of forward and reverse gears. This is because if the road is particularly narrow, or if your car has a poor steering lock, it's perfectly acceptable to do the manoeuvre in 5 points. Remember, the examiner wants to see you carry out the manoeuvre under control and with due regard for other road users. Keep a lookout for other cars and for pedestrians. You shouldn't touch the curbs, and you shouldn't even let your car overhang the pavement if by doing so you inconvenience or even endanger pedestrians.
Now in this manoeuvre, the examiner will be looking for 3 points: proper control, proper observation and reasonable accuracy. He'll ask you to find a safe, convenient place on the left, pull over and park. Now make sure there are no trees or lampposts anywhere on the curb where you're going to do the manoeuvre. First thing we've got to do is to prepare the car. I'll take you through one. Select first gear, set the gas and release the handbrake. Of course we must make sure that it's safe to do the manoeuvre. Check the mirror, over your shoulder, the road ahead and so on. Now there's no need to indicate. We're going to move the car slowly forward using clutch control, steering quickly and fully to the right. Now as we go forward, we get to the crown of the road, that's the highest point. Once we're on the crown, we put the clutch down and steer left. Now the car will roll down the camber and about a foot from the curb, gently brake to stop. The idea is that the front of the car doesn't overhang the pavement. Apply the handbrake, and now because of the camber, we've got to do a hill start in reverse. So we select reverse gear, set the gas a little more than normal, prepare the handbrake, slowly up clutch until the tone of the engine changes and feet still. Now slowly release the handbrake and check any car movement. Now we must make sure again that it's safe. First of all we look right and then left, turn around and look over our left shoulder for any pedestrians on the pavement behind us, and then looking over our right shoulder. And now we reverse back, looking over our right shoulder, steering to the left. Again over the crown, put the clutch down, steer to the right, and a foot from the curb, gently brake to stop. Again, apply the handbrake. Now it's most important that we don't have the overhang just in case the pedestrian should walk behind us. This is why we must look over our shoulder all the time when we're reversing. So now we're going to make the last move. Select first gear, set the gas a little more than normal, and just like the hill start we did, only we're in first gear this time. Now before we move, we look right, left, and then right again just to make sure that it's safe, and slowly move forward, steering to the right. And of course we then want to steer left to a parking position on the left-hand side of the road, and then gently brake to stop. And of course secure the car, and then wait for the next instruction from the examiner.
Let's just hold it there again for another look at that manoeuvre. The examiner will tell you to stop on the left. Now it's up to you to choose a place where there's no obstruction on the road or on the pavement. After checking that all's clear, go slowly forward in first gear, turning your steering wheel briskly to the right. Try to get your car at right angles across the road. When the car is about 3 feet from the curb, keep moving slowly, but change the lock by turning the steering wheel briskly to the left. As the front wheel gets near the curb, stop the car with your foot brake and apply the handbrake. Then select reverse gear for the second point of the turn. Once again, make sure the way is clear. Reverse slowly across the road, turning the steering wheel farther to the left as you go. Then, as you near the curb, turn the steering wheel briskly to the right so that when you stop, you'll be on the right-hand lock ready for the third point of the turn. Stop the car with a foot brake, put on the handbrake, and select first gear. Make sure the road is clear again. Drive forward and straighten up on the left of the road. Once again, it's a system. Once learned and understood, it's straightforward. But still, nearly 7% of test candidates get it wrong. Test route would take about 25 minutes to complete, ending up outside the test centre again. But it's not over yet. The test demands that you must obey the rules of the highway code as you drive, and the examiner will question you about it at the end. The examiner will almost certainly ask you 1 or 2 questions relating to incidents where you might have shown hesitancy or committed a minor fault on the test route. For example, what does an amber light mean? What do the zigzag lines leading up to a pedestrian crossing mean? We won't be giving you the answers here. Try them for yourself. If you don't know the answers, they're in the highway code. The examiner will often ask you questions about aspects of driving included in the highway code, but not necessarily part of a learner driver's experience. For example, questions on night driving, parking restrictions and motorway procedures. Which is the overtaking lane on a motorway? What do the countdown signs mean? What do 2 yellow stripes on a curbstone signify? Finally, there'll be a short quiz on road signs. The examiner will show you pictures of the signs and ask you what they mean.
What is the meaning of that road sign?
Traffic merges from the right.
Thank you. No one there?
Ahead in. One-way traffic.
Thank you. I'm sorry that you haven't passed.
Even though the candidate may get all the highway code questions right, the examiner has to take into account every section of the driving test when determining a pass or a failure.
Well, I deserved to fail the way I drove on that test drive, but I did pass my driving test in the end, on the 5th attempt. It was while working with the British School of Motoring on this program, so let's hope it does the same for you. Good luck.